What about this card?
It's a great card. I mean, look, I know Chisora's always a guy who creates headlines, and the casual fan loves to watch him because he gives you 110% all the time. Parker, very well known himself. Big fights in the UK against Joshua and Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte one was a real barn burner. I don't even know if it's like, when people say last chance saloon, I don't even know if Del cares about last chance saloon. He just wants to have a tear up, doesn't he? I don't think Derek's thinking, if I win this, I could put myself in position. He's just thinking, I just want to I'll go to war, and if I win, great. Winner stays on. And same with Parker. Like, whoever loses this fight, he's done, really. Like, in terms of ever fighting for a world title or staying in that mix of having big fights. So I think with Chisora, it's been a real sort of Indian summer, isn't it? Where he's just sort of come from nowhere. I mean, I remember when he lost in Monaco against Kabayev for the European title. It looked dreadful. He's come back, Spilka win. Takam was still one of my favourite wins. But the Dillian Whyte fight, he was winning that fight till he got knocked out. And he put in a great performance there. Come back with good wins against Price, and kept himself in the mix, and then got the chance against Usyk, and I thought he'd done really well against Usyk. I mean, it was a strange one at the time, because when I watched the fight live, the bell went. I thought, I've got this a draw. And then when I watched it back, he lost by 4 rounds. But at the time, when I've got Bellew in one ear and Hay in the other ear screaming and shouting, but actually I don't think he got enough credit for that performance, to be quite honest with you. Like, Usyk's a pound for pound great fighter, and Chisora's just horrible to fight.
Man.
And that's what Andy Lee, I mean, I thought Parker looked really light, really lean. And Andy Lee will be telling him, whatever you do, don't stay in the pocket with him and don't trade with him. Move, do this. But after a while, Parker's not Usyk. He can't move like Usyk, and Usyk had trouble moving like that against Chisora. So I think Parker, after 2 or 3 rounds, will just be, in the end he'll go, do you know what?
At some point,
I'm going to have to stand and trade. And that's when it gets really, really tough, when you're head on head with Chisora, because he's horrible.
Katie Taylor and Natasha Jonas is
so
one of the very biggest fights that can be made.
I think so, yeah. And it gets more intriguing by the day, doesn't it? I mean, with Natasha, when I signed these two, I always thought, obviously, these two are just going to fight each other. She suffered a shock defeat, Natasha, didn't she, to Obanov, and she's done really well to come back. Brilliant last time out against Terry Harper. Really close fight, could have gone either way. But what I've seen is the confidence. I feel like her confidence was a bit shot after the Obanov fight. Then she was confident going into the Harper fight, and the performance really spurred her on. I'm watching the clips out of the gym and on the pads thinking, they fancy this. We saw Joe this morning. His first thing he said to me, I'm telling you now, she's going to knock Katie Taylor out. Joe saying her legs aren't what they are. She's been what? I said, all right, Joe, calm down. But it's Katie Taylor is, she's for me pound for pound number 1 in women's boxing. Yeah, I mean, sooner or later you do start getting a little bit older, and maybe the legs aren't as fresh. But I do think that in her last fight she looked probably better than she's ever looked against Gutierrez. And coming off tough fights, like Pursune's almost like a female Chisora, absolute nightmare to fight. Can Natasha raise herself to the levels of Katie Taylor? That's something you only find out on fight night. But I know Croller's part of the team, and Joe and everyone, and I know Natasha believes. She believes she'll win this fight. She can punch. She can really punch. Up at lightweight as well. Last time it was super feather. I think this will just give her that little bit of leniency on the scales as well. And I think this is going to be a fascinating fight. Whatever way it goes, it'll be a thriller, and really big for women's boxing.
Another fight as well, obviously. You're in the corner twice with Marcus and Chris Eubank. But there's some intriguing fights down the card as well, isn't it? I mean, Bivol, Craig Richards.
I think with a Morrison fight, like, great win for him last time out in Italy. Like, it was like a career saver. Got himself in the top 15. No one's giving him a chance, actually, in this fight. He's a sharp shooter. He's got a great jab. He's very fast. He can punch. Just for Eubank, for me, like, I watched an interview with him the other day. It's actually probably the nicest interview I've ever seen with Eubank. Really humble, really mature, but I didn't see the edginess that I saw when he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. What I saw was a more comfortable young man. Like, are you still as hungry? And is he up for this fight? Right? Like, he can't be as up for this fight as Marcus is, because Calla and everyone else is telling him, right, in the summer we're going to do a big fight against this guy. So I'm not saying they overlook him, but I don't know whether he's got the same kind of hunger as he used to, or definitely not as much as Marcus Morrison. For me, it depends on if Marcus Morrison can stand up to the hammer. That's going to be the key. You know, can he take? And Eubank's not a massive puncher, but he's a sharp puncher. You know, if Marcus can weather those early storms and stay calm, you know, I mean, you know better than me. You know, it's hard for you because when you're in a gym, everyone falls in love with everyone, right? So they're coming out saying, "Oh no, Marcus is," but he's also smart enough to know that Eubank's sharp.
It's a big ask. It's a big ask, but I think he's a much liver underdog than what a lot of people are making out because he can really punch. But I think there's no denying he's going to have to bring something we've never seen before to secure the upset on Saturday night. That's we're talking about upsets and opportunities. Craig Richards, we've just spoke to him. He's in a great place.
I know, but that's another one.
Again,
but that's another one. You know, like obviously being around fighters and you start, you know, it's infectious. Like I had that chat with Joe earlier about Jonas. I walked away going, "Wow, I think she's the favourite in this fight." And the same. I remember when Peter Sims came into the office. I said, "Look, I think I can make the Bivol fight." By the way, I just got to turn this on. I've got some kind of music. Molly Malone by Sinead O'Connor playing on my phone. That was a Katie Taylor ring option we were looking at. And you know, with Peter Sims, they come into the office and I said, "Look, amazing performance last time out to win the British title. Like after drawing with Chad Sugden,
at the Arcade,
and I felt that he was a big underdog against Pitters and absolutely battered him. So Peter come in, he said, "Look, what we really want to do is we want to roll the dice. We want to fight for a world title." So I said, "Well, look, obviously I represent Dimitri Bivol. He's desperate for a fight, but he's really good, you know." And Pete went, "No, you know, we've looked at Bivol for a while. We fancy that fight." So I said to Pete, "The good thing is he's going to get a fantastic payday. He's going to get the opportunity of a lifetime. And if he loses, he come back and defend his British title." He went, "He ain't losing, man. He's going to knock him out." And I'm like, "Okay, well, look, my job is to give you the chance. Like it's over to you. You do the fight." But when I've seen him in the gym and sparring and stuff like that, he's looked really confident, and he's been hurting people badly in sparring. He can punch Craig Richards, and then you start looking at, okay, so let's start talking ourselves into the fact that Richards has got a great chance. Dimitri Bivol last boxed in October 2019. Right?
Wasn't great either, was he?
He had a poor performance against Castillo, right? He beat Joe Smith comfortably in February that year, but again, wasn't like a lightning performance. He's not. I'd say he lacks confidence, Bivol, but I think he's a fighter that likes momentum and likes to stay active. And then you start thinking, well, it's in the UK, like he can't, can he? I put a tweet out a couple of days ago going, he can't, can he? Can he? I mean, it would just be. I rate Bivol as like not a pound for pound, but like not a million miles outside the top 10. So for Craig to do that, but he's in a great place, you know, and he's not, "I'm so happy to be here." It's, "I'm winning this fight." But again, he has to. I feel the same with Marcus Morrison. He has to get into the fight. You know, you could come out. Bivol's very sharp with his feet. All of a sudden, 1-2, and you know you get stung early, and it's done. It's just gone away from you. Just feel like both guys have just got to get into the fight, and then I think they've both got a great chance.
One who's been starting earlier in the lightweight division, James Tennyson.
What
do you know now? So obviously he's fighting for the IBO World Lightweight title on Saturday. What's going to be your plan with James? I'm guessing as soon as crowds roll out, like, going to take him back home. He's becoming a star there, and there's a space there now with Carl Frampton. I know Michael Collins going to step up, but what's your plans with James Tennyson? Comes through Saturday.
Yeah, he's got a good fight actually against Strefon. Like I spoke to some of the Mexican guys last night who, you know, unfortunately part of the Maurizio Lara team who came over, and they said no. He said similar. You know, can punch. Super tough, never been stopped. Tennyson, you know, and I know this is for the IBO strap, and you know, one thing I won't be doing, and by the way, I love the IBO. It is a version of the world title. It's just not one of the more recognised versions of the title. And you always have that debate with fight fans where, you know, I can't. If James Tennyson wins on Saturday, I won't be shouting from the rooftop saying it's Belfast's new world champion, because I guess I'm a bit too much of a purist and old school guy to say really, like, but it's a good stepping stone, because all those other belts are wrapped up right now in the division. So go and win the IBO world title. Tennyson's a nightmare. Like, I mean, if you were fighting now, like, why would you fight James Tennyson? But he punches. I know, but we still have to see how he holds up.
Yes.
Like, this kid can punch a bit.
Yeah.
And he's not been in at lightweight with a puncher yet. You know, he boxed Gavin Gwynn, brutalised him. He boxed Atif Shafiq, another non-puncher. He boxed last time out Josh O'Reilly, done him in a round. He was a non-puncher as well. You know, and at super featherweight, he obviously got floored by Tevin Farmer a few times. Martin Ward having him over.
He was delicate,
but it was the weight. You know, but I still want to see someone fire back at him and see how he takes those shots to head and body. But I tell you what, my goodness, can he punch? I mean, he is up there as a pound for pound puncher. You know, and no one's going. You've almost got to get someone on the blind side, Dom, with a match in that they don't really know anything about Tennyson. Like otherwise, why would you fight Tennyson? He just comes forward. He's a puncher. You know, he's not yet got the superstar profile. So I'm going to try and sort of look for someone that hasn't really
sneak him in.
Do you know what I mean? Just like before we made Haney Linares. Linares was a guy that you could go to Odyssey with against Tennyson. That would be a bum burner and all. But he still needs the experience. Like Linares is a fantastic, you know, former pound for pound great. So James just still needs the ring time, the rounds, and we still need to see if he can stand up to the hammer at 135 pounds. But he's exciting. I mean, from the first belt, does not stop coming forward, throwing bombs, and you know, I think Belfast will love
Eddie, what can you tell us?
I just said in an interview over there, I think there's like 2 or 3 Bob Arums, you know, because I messaged him last night after seeing one of his articles. Said, what's going on? Well, you know, he's taking time. I said, of course, he's taking time. It's one of the biggest deals. Well, it is the biggest deal really in boxing history. Yeah. So, but he said we haven't spoken for a week. And I spoke to him. Last communication was Friday and Thursday. You know, the lawyers were on a phone on Sunday. So I don't know. I think sometimes Bob, well, he's 90, but I think a lot of the time he likes to put pressure on. You know, and this is his way of saying they need to hurry up, and they do need to hurry up. But it takes, you know, there's a lot of lawyers involved in this, and it's not just something that comes back and then, you know, you've got one guy's in Middle East time, you know, lawyer there. You've got a guy who's on UK time, lawyer. You've got a guy in New York at lawyer. You've got a guy on the West Coast, lawyer. Like. So we're working as fast as we can. But when he says, like Bob Arum says, Eddie Hearn's running out of time, what's he got to do with me? We're supposed to be in this together. Why am I running out of time? I'm the only one doing any work. So if you don't want to get involved, if you don't want to do anything, if you don't want to lift a finger, you just want to rely on me, wait. Right? Because everybody's told, we've had it in writing, that the site offer, we all accept it. They've signed a contract, the contract's come in, this fight is on. But if you listen to Bob, like, part of me thinks they don't want to do the fight. But that's why I wanted to see Tyson in Vegas, because he reassured me that he wants the fight. And, you know, he called out about 6 people this morning on Instagram, and one of them was AJ. So that's a good sign, you know. Yeah. CrossFit Dosser. You know, or something like that.
The new insult. No, thanks, mate. And look forward to the show this weekend.
Nice one. Thanks, Eddie.